Hello, everyone. My name is Simon Wright, Director of Programming at Japan House London, and welcome to today's online event, Connecting Art and Science 1, Japan House London and the University of Tokyo. This event is brought to you as a collaboration between two exhibitions, Tokolo Asao Connect, Individual and Group, held here at Japan House London, and the exhibition Connecting Artifacts 1, held at Komaba Museum in the University of Tokyo. Before we start, some brief housekeeping rules. Please note that your microphone and webcam will be disabled for the entire duration of the event. Please use the question and answer feature to type your questions for the presenters at any time throughout the session. If you do not want your name to be attached to your question, please check the option Send Anonymously. Questions will be collated by members of the Japan House team and moderated for a selection which will be answered live at the end of the event. Please note that we may not be able to answer all your questions during the session. Also note that the contents of this event will be streamed live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and where a recording will be archived later. Today's event is brought to you from London, Tokyo, and connects two exhibitions which both feature the multidisciplinary work and geometric patterns of Tokolo Asao, the artist behind the emblems for the 2020 Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games. I am joining you from Japan House London, where our current exhibition, Tokolo Asao Connect, Individual and Group, is on display until the 16th of December. I will shortly be handing over to the Komaba Museum at the University of Tokyo, home of the exhibition Connecting Artifacts 1. There we will receive a presentation from Associate Professor and Origami Engineer Tachi Tomohiro, who is currently teaching an art-science collaboration course, Individual and Group, with artist Tokolo Asao in the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Tokyo. He is actively involved in STEAM, that's science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics education, and his research interests include origami, structural morphology, computational design, and fabrication. He will be joined in conversation with Tokolo Asao to discuss the works on display at the Connecting Artifacts 1 exhibition and the collaborative process of art and science. Interpretation support will be provided by Kanaoka Daiki, and thank you very much, just in case that needs to be included later on. At the end, there will be an opportunity to ask some of the questions submitted by attendees through the question and answer on Zoom. So please do send in your questions throughout the event. I would now like to welcome our guests from the Komaba Museum in Tokyo.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
London.
Hello. I'm Tomohiro Tachi from the University of Tokyo. Here I'm with Tokoro-san. We are now at the Komaba Museum of the University of Tokyo. Where we are exhibiting, having the exhibition, our Connecting Artifacts 01. So this building is the Komaba Museum. Used to be a library for high school that was integrated into the university into the 1950s. And that became the College of Arts and Sciences where I belong to. And now, since then, this building is used as the Art and Science Museum. So here the exhibition is going on. Before going into our I'm going to explain the activities with the students, collaborating with with Tokoro-san. But before that, I'm going to talk about my personal interest and its history. I have been doing origami and doing origami as research as well. But I started folding sheet of paper when I was before the elementary school, like in the normal Japanese people do. But I kept doing this. So probably a lot of people forget about folding a sheet of paper once, because it's just a child play that it's only during the preschool or elementary school that they fold sheet of paper, but they gradually graduate from the origami. But I kept folding sheet of paper. And so I also entered this College of Arts and Sciences, where every student at the University of Tokyo will join for 1.5 years. Every student that may go to the to engineering or science or liberal arts or law, they all gather at this campus and then learn liberal arts and sciences. So that's what we teach, and then we develop our collaboration. So at this time, when I was a university student, I was really involved in the origami. And the origami is a art where you start from a sheet of paper, and then without cutting, just by folding, you get some three-dimensional forms. And I try to understand this in several ways. So the idea is to design something that you want. So starting from the 3D figure, then you want to fold a sheet of paper such that it falls into that. So this is the idea that I developed during my when I was an undergraduate student. Here is the idea. If you develop this origami folding, you get this idea. Here you can see the white part and the gray part. White part ends up being exposed on the actually folded models, where the gray part is going to be hidden inside. Now, this is the idea I developed, and using some knowledge of computer programming, I learned how to, I made a software that is called Organizer, which is a software that turns three-dimensional objects and then creates a crease pattern such that it falls into that 3D form. So using this software, you can create crease pattern, and then using that crease pattern, you can fold it. So this is the three-dimensional bunny folded one sheet of paper. And once you get 10 hours folding, then you have this shape. So this was all of my, that was what I was most involved in during the study, the undergraduate and graduate school. So when I graduate, I had an opportunity to exhibit my work. So I majored in architecture and then decided to apply origami kinematics, the folding motion, into some big structures. And at the same time, in 2010, Tokolo-san also had this exhibition where he developed this transformable structure that is based on connecting multiple pieces together. So this is when I learned his work and then met him and started to discuss. So this is, there are lots of common things between our works, but our approach is very different. I started from study through the information science or engineering perspective, or the Tokoro-san starts with the arts perspective. But we all start from making things by hands. So I start making things through folding sheet of paper, while Tokoro-san starts making by connecting pieces together. So these are, on the left is my work on freeform origami, and then on the right, the pioneering works of these connecting pieces. So these are from this exhibition, new pieces from Tokoro-san. And his principle is based on these combining multiple pieces. That's the simple form into a organized system. So he calls this principle individual and group. And this is the amazing work that is exhibiting, representing this principle of the individual and group. So here is the Tokyo 2020 Olympics and Paralympic Games emblem that is made of exactly the same number of rectangles on the left and the right. So, and there are 3 types of rectangles, but behind that, there is this geometry of rhombus structure, 3 types of rhombus structures that where you can replace some of the rhombus tiles to the other, then you can get a different pattern. So this gives a lot the variations, the variety of shapes, only through the 3 types of simple modules. So these are some exhibited works from this museum, and this shows the variety of patterns that can get from the same system. And once he showed his design, people, mathematicians and computer scientists started to analyze these works. So for example, people starts to understand what the geometry behind, or try to enumerate through computation, the number of possible patterns, possible combinations that you can get using these rhombus patterns. So that interests from different fields are all connected to Tokolo-san's artwork. So he developed an exhibition that is called Connect. So that's the first one that is called Connect. So the current exhibition is also using the name Connect. So the principle of connecting is also referring to, not only referring to the idea that individual pieces form a group, but it's also showing the connection between different people, collaboration between, for example, art and science, or other field of studies. So that's motivated us to collaborate. And so the main feature of this exhibition is the individual group, which is the principle that I mentioned, but also the name of the lecture that we gave. The background of this lecture is that the University of Tokyo started an art center, the art center of the University of Tokyo, ACUT, where we start to develop a STEAM education. So STEAM stands for a science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. And the art is a very important element of that, where the to develop the integration between the interdisciplinary sciences. So we started some series of seminars called Integrative Arts and Sciences at the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Tokyo. So as I mentioned, this college is for the first and second year students before they determine their major. So we started this teaching, the class called Individual and Group from 2018. So here, this is the activity. So this is active learning classes where students explore forms, using their hands and make things. And we start with this concept individual group. Tokolo gives some lecture, and then students interpret and then make something out of it and learn or find something new through making. And once they bring up their works, we start to look at this work. So Tokolo-san and I will be giving comments, advice, and lectures so giving lots of feedbacks, but that can range from extremely diverse perspectives. So that can cover design, music, fine art, science, biology, physics, computer science, etc. And also, we start to invite someone from architecture or computer science, different fields, to develop their ideas. So the idea we often derail during our making comments. So, but that kind of we intend to diverge instead of converge into some things. But then the students will some get inspired by these ideas and then develop their ideas. So that cycle of exploring forms and then viewing from different perspectives lead to often leading to some interdisciplinary science questions. And that led us to collaborate as a research project for afterwards. So it's the class just for 1 month, but then some of our students got interested in this research and then keep studying. So some of for example, the perspectives I can show from the Tokolo-san's work are that I showed the rhombus tiling. The rhombus tiling can be interpreted in different ways. For example, on the right top, it can be interpreted as the projection of a higher dimensional lattice into 2-dimension or maybe in 3-dimension, then you can make 3-dimensional patterns. Or that's related to, in the chemical sciences, chemistry, then it's called the structure called quasicrystal that was found by Daniel Schechtman and who won the Nobel Prize 2021, 20 I don't, yeah. So but it's a finding that is extraordinary. The lattice structures of the atoms, and that was beforehand predicted. The existence of such structure was predicted by Roger Penrose, and that is known as a periodic tiling. So they are all related, and in geometry and in its geometry. So that kind of geometric ideas, perspectives were just inspired the students to develop their ideas. So some of them made some fonts or some screens or 3-dimensional forms that some systems of joints or music instruments and some porous structures or transformable systems. So I can pick up 2 examples how they develop into a research. So if I look at this figure by Tokoro-san, now if you reverse the figure on the ground, then that will form a transformable structure like this. So this is an interesting system in the sense that here are, because these will give you the variety of shapes based on the ideas of the tiling. And from the perspective of material science, it's also interesting because normal material will, if you compress normal material, it will bulge out. And the ratio between these strain is called Poisson ratio. But this material, if you see this structure as a material, then if you compress it, then it shrinks in orthogonal direction as well. So that's an interesting and very, it's kind of supernatural phenomenon. And that's called a ozetics, so that has Poisson ratio, negative Poisson ratio. So this can be said that it's a periodic structure that has negative Poisson ratio. So that's an interesting material, and that might lead to new systems such as metamaterials that absorbs energy or deforms into certain shapes. The other example is this. This is a division of a tetrahedron into with small regular triangles. She found that these varieties of shapes can be represented by two integers, like 2, 3, or 3, 3, or 4, 3. And that made a series of works that is designed by these rules. So this was, at this time we found that we thought that this is a new invention, which is not. This is actually the reinvention of wheel, in the sense that in the virus, in the virology, we use these ideas of using these numbers to represent the tilings. So it's called capsid of a virus that is made of the self-assembly of these pieces of molecules. And these protein molecules form together this spherical shape that is based on icosahedron. And they use this number. Kaspar-Klug's theory uses these numbers to represent these geometric forms. Other things we found is this strip system that if you develop this structure along its creases, then it will be developed into this band. That led us to think about these structures. Kagome lattice, the basketry structures. The basketry structure now also led to the weaving or the braiding of the system. So this is a collaboration with the braiding the artist and recently developed ideas. So this keeps developing ideas. So the idea that you can make from one loop of a strip will lead to this structure. So this from one loop, you can create this structure from a zipper. And we found an interesting connection between this structure and this spider. This is a poisonous spider that lives in Japan. It's kind of a leaf spider called Kabaki komachigumo. So that's what we learn through making, and then just part of it. But the interesting thing is that we are still developing the ideas and keep excited about new things that we find through collaboration. So the exhibition consists of these 4 chapters. I only show the individual and group part, the second chapter. I'm going to quickly show other ideas that are connected through geometry. So we also feature the graphic statics, which is the idea of finding the structural forms through geometry. In fact, that's an old idea from in the 19th century. For example, Antoni Gaudi used the idea of hanging chains for creating these amazing structural systems. And also in the 17th century, it's already known that some geometric or graphical methods have been developed to understand the force and the form that is created. But this is an very old technology. But now, with the power of computer sciences, people are trying to investigate completely new forms of shell structures. So here is the work by Masaki Miki from the University of Tokyo, studying these interactive computational based graphical statics. And these are quite new forms that now resemble some of the shapes of the plants or shapes of some shells. So that's one part. I also represent some showing the origami structures. In this case, I'm trying to collect the patterns of wrinkles that is related to the structural function. But the wrinkle patterns are very universal that exists in this painting or in the insects' bodies. And also you can reproduce these wrinkling effects in computer graphics. So these are surfaces that are trying to grow, and that growing produces these wrinkles. And these wrinkles, if these wrinkles are unrolled, then it becomes three-dimensional form. So now the Tokoro-san also is getting inspired by the interaction between the students, and then he also found the explored new forms of made by pieces. So that's the end of my talk.
Thank you very much, Tachi-san. Extraordinary. Thank you so much for sharing your work and study and collaboration with us. What struck me are the common themes that obviously you have together, and how interesting that you come from two different approaches. You mentioned that you Tachi-san, you come from a scientific engineering base mainly, and Tokoro-san comes from an art side. But what touches me about this is how you both see what we all have in common and where those interests and passions and skills overlap. I'm also, you're so generous, just like Tokoro-san is as well, I think, so generous in celebrating other people's work. Thank you so much. It's extraordinarily important what you do. I am very, very privileged to be able to hear what you've said about it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So now I'm with Tokoro-san, and Tokoro-san has lots of his works here, and he can show us what he has in his hands.
Yep. Those yellow thing is called build void. Build is for building. Void is not kind of empty space. The build void. Now I have got several stage of build voids works. Then, for example, those yellow. Could you? Thank you. This is a rhombus thing, and then when you point the center of rhombus, you can make the rectangle inside the rhombus. Then what's really interesting is that this is also study of rhombus. Then it's directly to connect to the study for Tokyo 2020 shape. Then how do you say tape? Trapezoid. You see the trapezoid in between the rectangle here. Then let's say main and remain. Then those things is gathering of trapezoid. Then the rectangle you see as a remain part. Then this is a normal. I used to be two-dimensional drawing. Then as you saw as a video, Masubuchi no student called Warisaya kun made a really nice system which you can fold space and say, yeah, this is really amazing.
So this work is with Warisaya, Kanata Warisaya, and
you see the rhombus here as a remain part. Then sometimes you see the triangle or four edge shape. Then it's amazing. Then it really depends on the how you make the joint as a like in here. This is amazing too. This is paperwork, isn't it?
it's made of paper.
Great.
So this is made of paper. This is made of paper.
Then when I made this model, I didn't notice at all the depth of the possibility already nature has. Then I love this class, individual group in University of Tokyo, because it's not like teaching, more like the making together. And every class, every time, I'm really stimulated by the students, by what we are doing. Then going back to the billboard here, then this is maybe more than 10 years old stuff. Then it's going to be changed to the quite familiar shape, which is football, soccer ball. Like the no, not this one. Going to be a football shape. So 20 hexagon and 12 5
Pentagon. 12 pentagon.
12. No.
Truncated icosahedron.
Truncated icosahedron. It's really difficult. Is it Greek word?
Yes, it is. Icosa means 20.
It's amazing that the thousands of years we are keeping those kind of beautiful idea, and then already they knew the possibility of the shapes, forms. Then this is another billboard which you can make the kind of it's also like the bee nest or something, the nest for the some insect, or maybe possibly exist in the deep sea, or somewhere. Then the feeling of moving is really strange. Then one thing I couldn't do for my display in London is because of the COVID-19, it's really difficult to show the mobility using the hand, my hand, and then guest. How can I say? I noticed that it's a bit difficult to play with it. Then this is the third or fourth type of billboard, which is a kind of the stubborn model, bit strong structure they have. Then using those kind of the laser cut wood piece. This is engineering wood. Then to connect together, then you can make the space like this. Then this is also billboard. And then in a way, I gave up the idea of the transformation, but I got another possibility, which is a kind of the stubborn, strong strength as a structure. Then in between this billboard and this billboard, this is a kind of the in-between condition that at that time I made a kind of the gum thread to connect the pieces. So in a way, it's a kind of not strong, but has got a kind of flexibility here, like this. Then, in a way, I tried those kind of differences of criteria and material choosing. Then this is a yellow tape, 3M normal yellow tape, and engineering wood here. Then in University of Tokyo, I tried to make the before that. Could you show the Duchamp's large glass here? It's really rare case that the University of Tokyo has got the large glass done by Marcel Duchamp. Blah blah blah. Even no. What's the name of the large glass? Bride striped. It's French actually. Anyway, this is an authorized replica. It's an official replica, maybe the third replica in the world. The first real one is in museum in Philadelphia. Then we were working in this nice museum. Then maybe I was so influenced that, as you know, the Marcel Duchamp gave us the idea of the ready-made. Then I finally started ready-made thing with how does it, £1 shop or something. Japan has got 100 yen shop. So each products we can buy 100 yen. So it's cheap, but it's really not exact, not precisely made. But I was trying to, so. And then, Kanaoka-san, could you make it turn a bit? 回せる So there's beautiful. And the other one, please. Oh,
So
nice.
it's all made of this everyday object that you can buy.
So you need 72 pieces. So this is kind of mesh for cooking. Maybe it's nice to use that mesh during making the tempura thing. Then in a way, you can buy a 7,200 yen plus tax to make those kind of ready-made work. Then I'm really happy with this. And then, but making things is a bit difficult because they're not accurate or not precise made. But it was really nice. Then, in a way,
I really love that this system is reproducible. If you see it and what is happening and see it from some geometric perspectives, or just seeing what is happening, you can reproduce. So what I find interesting in your work is that your work is already open sourced when you represent your work.
In a way, we can share the kind of tips to make. I never check which is the front, which is back for the mesh, for example. Then making those things, the small detail helps you to make nicer always. Then I always I have no idea. I'm not professional for the cooking mesh, but using it, I don't know, 1 month or so, I was so happy to make that. Then yeah, as you said, we can share the making, or we may find the other possibility behind the simple work.
So this is also kind of vernacular in a sense that so the exhibition title art contains the term artifacts, and so artifacts involves everything that we make, but also refers to some historical things that are made by humans, right? So this could be done could be done maybe 1,000 years ago, right? If they have this kind of flat piece. But of course, we can make these things because we have these pieces already available, and it's very natural that we start to build this spherical shape. It's led by this geometry.
In a way, thousands of years ago, there's really nice craftsmanship there. Then now we have got another technique like which helps us, such as laser cutting or 3D printer and things. Then sometimes I'm trying to make the work with those kind of the so-called digital fabrication, but sometimes back to the really manual thing. So for last some weeks, I couldn't use a computer because I was concentrated on making the origami crane. Then it was a really nice experience. Then I want to enjoy the both way, the manual thing, and then aided by computer or aided by machines. Then, so I'd like to show the this block, which you can make a cube, which you can see in London too. Then this is the presentation model, concept model for the making the podium Tokyo 2020. Then working with Tanaka Hiroya, Tachi-san's colleague for the making book, origami and tessellation book. Then also, you remember the opening ceremony, 23rd July this year. So this is a drone model calculated by Tomoki Hiramoto. Hiramoto also organized everything for the podium, this blue cube. Then this project is amazingly amazing. Then we assisted the Kota Iguchi, who is a great motion graphic designer, director. Then I'm thinking to send to London, then for the maybe closing day or so, maybe not. But finally, Hiramoto made a perfect structure here. Then actually, it's printed in Holland, Eindhoven. It's amazing, isn't it? Calculated in Tokyo, they printed in Eindhoven, then check in Tokyo, and maybe I may send to London. So in a way, traveling sphere. Then shadow is really nice. Then, in a way, what we are doing is making preparation for the coming exhibition or coming class. So that we are talking the connecting artifacts 02, which is the next one. Then I really want to connect the many possibilities. So it's great to talk with Tachi-san and then for the London place. So
it's our attempt to connect through making, and then so these artifacts is kind of also a byproduct that happens with an accident, and by some maybe from the biologist viewpoint may be interpreted in different way, and so that finding from different viewpoint for something that is made by accident, that's the probably the driving force for us to continue this collaboration.
And what we want to do is invite the Dr. Penrose, and for me, Dr. I shouldn't say. But anyway, Dr. Penrose is my hero. Without his great work, I can't reach those kind of tessellation. So the other doctor's name is Brian May. So I really wanted to be London, but I couldn't. So I'm making the preparation. for the next stage.
Hello, thank you very much. Tokoro-san, thank you so much. How extraordinary. Thank you. What a privilege, and I say it again, thank you. We have this, of course, I believe this shape is at Japan House at the moment in your exhibition. That's correct, isn't it? We have a shape, I believe, which is made from Latin.
You talked about this one?
That's correct. Yes, the one you were holding.
Actually, I haven't sent yet this one. Maybe the white one is collaboration with Nihon University, and this one is project for the sky. I mean, a drone project. Then this is a completely new one. So in a way, it's more fine shadow and light effect you can see. The 120 checkered sphere or something. I haven't named it yet. Beautiful.
I see. Thank you. This reminds me, actually, every time I have the opportunity to speak to you, there is always something new. It's always exciting. I admire your immensely curious and passionate mind. It's insatiable, in fact, to find out new things. And I always look forward to being able to speak to you because there's always something new. Also from the everyday as well. We were talking about the kitchen utensil earlier on. Thank you very much indeed. I just wanted to talk a little bit about how at Japan House we've been able to show your work, Tokoro-san, before we go on to the questions, which I see are coming in. Please do, if you have any questions for Tokoro-san or for Tachi-san, please do send them in. Maybe I could have the slide that we have, which is where I was first of all in Japan House.
Nice photo.
This you made especially for us for Japan House for the exhibition. I remember when we first looked at this some months ago when the designs were coming through, how it was in the springtime, I think, and how the moment I saw it, it seemed organic, except of course it is created from all these geometric patterns, and we talked about how it seemed to be surrounded within a bower of wisteria. That was my immediate impression the moment I saw it. But then you also explained to me about the shape of the icho, the ginkgo leaf, which appears in here, and I'm really quite fascinated by this interconnection between nature and science.
I really thank you and Shintaro to name this project Wisteria. Then I was thinking to make the kind of the wavy geometric pattern, but you said, oh, it's like the Wisteria, isn't it? And then you and Shintaro in a way named this project beautiful name Wisteria. Japanese say Fuji. Then I thought the biggest name of the Japanese plant is, I thought the sakura, cherry blossom, but I noticed that Fuji is also representing the Japan and representing the beauty. And now we start to call those kind of pattern Wisteria. Thank you.
Well, thank you. No, thank you. It is extraordinary. It's very, very, very beautiful. So if you have a chance, anybody in London to visit before the 16th of November, if you've been once, you should come again at another time as well, because different times of the day, the light which plays with these installations
And
adds
it's
another.
multi-layer, isn't it? The one glass here, and then the other pattern on the other window. Then I really love to see the nighttime through the overlaid patterns.
Exactly, the lights from outside, from inside, how they play on the inside and outside with the shadows. You mentioned Shintaro, who was helping, of course, us to put this all together. I remember one occasion when the sunlight was reflecting off a window onto a car light into the windowed installation area, and the play of light through all of these shapes is ever changing, and every day is different and exciting. So I thank you for that. Thank you very much indeed for creating something.
Crossing. So from the other side of the building, the crossing the window and the infill, booth E, this one. I really love to see those kind of the multi-layered, tricky thing.
Yes, it's worked very, very well, I think, from outside, inside, that relationship that exists between the two. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will go on to some questions now. I think we are having some questions coming through. Thank you. We have one question here. This is from Stitch Leroy, I think. There are different materials here: paper, wood, plastic, 100 yen cooking mesh. What do you prefer to work in, and how does that affect your work?
It really depends on the what kind of the friend or specialist I meet them. For example, Arita porcelain is a ceramic, of course. Then now I'm trying to make the kind of big relief in Yokohama, which is concrete, and then precast concrete, PC concrete, which is really new to me completely. Then working with a specialist for the concrete, and then I'm really moving. And in a way, I named my class in Hongo, University of Tokyo's different place. I named that class condition specific. It's really condition, depends on the condition. Maybe start with a paper like this. There's no budget at all. But I was really satisfied meeting with those kind of material and helping really nice guys who helped me. Then now I'm trying to make the orizuru, kind of the reconstruction. Then maybe 2 yen for the one origami helped me. So it really depends on the condition. I enjoy the different possibilities. Then
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have another question here, and this is from Tim Corvin. Many thanks for your fascinating presentations, both Tachi-san and Tokoro-san. It is intriguing to see the more analytical scientific methods combined with the physical, experimental, artistic approach. What other fields do you see that this type of hybrid transdisciplinary art-science collaboration could be applied to? Maybe Tachi-san?
Yeah, that's, I think our activities is aiming to make some new fields of study. So that's, I think that's the broad objective. So, but we don't know yet what happens. So it's based on a lot of serendipity that is caused by these interactions that, so we don't aim for something, but we feel that definitely we feel that that is really the making some basis for the new way of making things. For example, with the integration with the 3D printing technology or digital fabrication technology, that changes the way we make. It's not only 3D printing that the technology itself that is changing, but with the, then we need some kind of deep understanding of how to approach, like how to rethink what we have been doing. And that is where the power of art and the serendipity out of it, out of this collaboration helps.
Thank you. Thank you. Tokoro-san, do you?
It's not occupation or specialty, but it's really nice to work with the younger generation and the elder generation and the middle age like me. Then there must be a really nice possibility here. Then in university, there's many kind of the specialists there. Then just we started those kind of class. Then maybe making a kind of trigger starting. Then we may see the connecting artifacts 02 or 03. Then, for example, can we talk about the guest for the closing session? Is all right? Tachi-san invited Dr. Miura, famous for the Miura folding, Miura Ori. So Tachi-san's next, like the grandfather generation, isn't he? Mm-hmm. Then also we invited younger generation scientists such as Toyoda-san from Noise Architect, and then in a way that architectural realm is easy to invite, no? Recent, currently, but as Tachi-san said, scientists for the insect, like the ladybug, the wing research or something. It was really interesting.
So I collaborate with Professor Saito, who is analyzing the way the insects fold their wings. So he makes the folding model out of it. Mm. And so that's really have interesting structural, so from the scientific viewpoint and also from the engineering viewpoint.
Mm. So in a way, we are starting the kind of the presentation for the university and the person who we haven't met yet. So it's going to be a nice trap to invite the collaborators. We will see.
Let's hope. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have two questions, actually, both for Tokoro-san and for Tachi-san. And this is from one of our attendees, Mori-san, I believe. How and when did the idea come to mind? I think to work together, yes. And secondly, how do you think about the roles in aesthetics of rules and irregular? Maybe we should start with how and when did the idea come to mind?
For me, maybe because of lack of constellation, 注意散漫ってなんだろう。I can't concentrate for a long time, so that during the making thing, maybe I'm trying to think the next one or next one. So for example, making this kind of thing, and then at the same time, I'm imagining that those kind of thing at the same time. Then that means I have to keep making. So I never think about that. So maybe making, thinking. Then what was the one?
The second question? The second question, how do you think about the roles in aesthetics of rules and irregular?
For example, it's kind of totally governed by the certain rule. Otherwise, you can't make those kind of beautiful sphere. Then, there's no disorder in this world, maybe. So each of the things has got a reason to be there. Then, so yes, what I want to try is finding a certain beautiful rule. So, or beautiful restriction is right. So even the chaos situation or disordered situation, we see the certain kind of the beauty or the maybe meaning of the being. So of course I want to touch the ethnic aesthetic thing. Maybe I try to do till I die.
So I think this is, I think I have the similar opinion with Tokoro-san about, and these two questions are, I believe, related, that rules or like constraint is quite important factor for creating new things. So if you are completely free and there is no constraint, then what you can make is, for at least for me, I cannot get something that is beyond my mind. But if there are some rules, and then interact with the rules, then I find the very new things out of it. So that's, but if the rule is too strict, probably there is nothing interesting happening. So somewhere in between the completely regular or free things and then rule things, there is a very comfortable range where you can find a lot of things out of it. And this interaction with the rules is also that involves these geometric rules that you can play with, but also that applies to for example, there is Japanese poetry that is made by 5 letters, 7 letters, and 5 letters, haiku. So that has a strong rule, but from this strong rule, we can explore the extremely large variety or the inspirational work. So that is also one rule. Other rule is actually physical world that we face that is governed by these physical rules. So that is also giving a lot of information. For example, a sheet of paper, just crumpling a sheet of paper is extremely interesting. That gives a lot of information for us. So that's where I think I get the inspirations from.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're already almost out of time, but I think we have time for a couple more questions. We have here, there are 2 questions, I think, that we can put together. Do you have any further plans for collaboration? Do you think that you will continue to collaborate? And maybe could you give us some information on Connect 2 and what it aims to explore?
Yeah, we definitely are continuing our class. Then the students, so the undergrad students that already took the class is now studying at the graduate school and then developing their own research. And so in which way, what we are doing is to also find newcomers to this field that we are still struggling. Yeah, so and this is the exhibition where we are trying to approach different people. So I would like people to comment on this, like look from their viewpoints and then find what the next step is. So we don't have a clear vision by ourselves now. It's quite dependent on this new collaboration, I believe.
In a way, we are presenting our idea to not only the people in University of Tokyo, but also the younger generation. This museum is open to the public, so we are having a great presentation to them. So take time anyway to set up the kind of the foundation. So now we are planning the next stage. Then I hope the University of Tokyo get more interest for what we are doing now. So but it's a really great opportunity to show our idea to the Japan House London. So they hope there's some younger generation.
And we definitely have the want to have the international development collaboration with this theme. This is theme where I think almost any field can join in the connecting, the theme of connect.
It's really interesting that when we name this exhibition, then we choose the word artifacts. So maybe it's no there's no word of the design or art here. So artifact is what human being makes artifacts, right? Then, currently we open the door, kind of widely. No.
So we don't have some kind of fixed evaluation for what we have made, but this is like we try to make this open so that like from new perspective it will give you some inspiration. So that's our intention.
I really want to keep the kind of the aesthetic. How can I say? I'm interested in the aesthetic.
Thank you very much. You mentioned that Tachi-san, that you want to maintain or to develop an international aspect. I very much hope, we will be able to see you in London maybe one day. That would be marvelous. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to see Tokoro-san in London this time, but of course we do look forward, hopefully, when we can explore about this work further. We look forward to it very much indeed, so thank you very much. I have to say thank you so much to Tachi Tomohiro and to Tokolo Asao. You, yet again, have been so generous with your time, allowing us to share with you what you do. And I am, yet again, I will say, I'm struck by how you focus on what connects people, what you have in common, and that's a wonderful message, I think, for everyone. Thank you also to the team at the Komaba Museum at the University of Tokyo. Thank you so much for all your support there, and to Kanaoka Daiki for his interpretation support. And thank you, of course, to everyone who has joined us. Following this event, all our attendees will be sent a feedback questionnaire by email. Please do fill that in, as that will help us to continue to create events like this in the future. Just before we disappear, I should say, Tokoro-san, of course, we have your exhibition, Connect Individual and Group, until the 16th of November here at Japan House. Please do come along in person if you can. It is a wonderful experience. And to highlight that, we have another online event, Tokoro-san, where we can see these different layers, of course, that you mentioned through the window, within the installations inside, and the collaborations you have created with a number of craftspeople. And that's on Tuesday, the 9th of November, on online. Please book through our website. We also have more work, Tokoro-san, with you. We have our Orizuru and Nurie, origami and coloring in workshop on both the 13th and the 14th of November. That is held at Japan House. Please do book and come along to work with some of the creations that Tokoro-san has made for us. Briefly, we have the last few days of our current exhibition in the gallery at Japan House, Tokyo 1964, Designing Tomorrow, looking at the design project of the 1964 Tokyo Olympic Games. We also have a screening of Tokyo Olympiad by Ichikawa Kon. Please do come along for that. That will be on Saturday, the 6th of November. And we continue our series of events online with Sakai City. And this is with Togishi Yamatsuka Mitsuo from Sakai City, and a masterclass in sharpening Japanese knives. Thank you very much once again. Tokoro-san, thank you so much. Tachi-san, thank you for all that you have done for us today. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you in person in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.